So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. And in today's video, we have the Golden State Warriors. Last season in Golden State was certainly not one to remember. They ended up winning 46 games, which secured them the 10 seed in a very loaded Western Conference, and then lost to the Kings in their one and only play-in game. Of course, not making the playoffs. So, this offseason for the Warriors, a lot of people had big hopes whether they were going to go on and add another star. In some way, shape, or form, of course, that was kind of the end goal. That did not happen. Really, the biggest moving piece of the Warriors offseason was Klay Thompson finally departing the Bay Area, ends up joining the Dallas Mavericks, and now this is a team with Steph Curry, with Draymond Green, and just a bunch of other pieces. So, this offseason, all things considered for the Warriors, was pretty much a huge failure and a disaster, and ultimately, I kind of feel bad for Steph. I really do, because he is pretty much, you ever see that meme? It's like a Lamborghini inside like a really shitty house. It's kind of what it feels like. I have a few ideas for the way I kind of want to go about this rebuild, and we'll discuss that in further detail once we do get into the video. But before we do, of course, as always, let me know any of the rebuild ideas down below in the comment section. Really, just which team you want me to do next. As I've told you guys in pretty much every single video, I'm basically just going by the teams that get requested the most. So, if you want me to rebuild your favorite team, I will certainly get to them at some point. But if there are more comments for an individual team, we will do them very soon. So that is it for me right now. I am excited about this one today. I would say this is, I don't want to clarify or classify rather the Warriors as like a bad team, but I guess this would be, one of the first bad teams we rebuilt, at least that didn't make the playoffs last year. So let's get into it. It felt like the two biggest targets for the Warriors this offseason were Paul George and Lauri Markkanen, of course, for kind of different reasons. Lauri Markkanen being the face of the Utah Jazz, a team and a franchise that has really been going through kind of a strenuous rebuild at this point, and Danny Ainge and company have done a really good job. Obviously, we look at the Paul George situation with the Los Angeles Clippers. Those two teams could not agree to any sort of contract, extension, trade, any of that stuff did not happen. He just outright signed with the Philadelphia 76ers, and it felt like a losing situation for pretty much all parties involved. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about this Warriors team and kind of what's left over from what I would consider like a C- offseason. So let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, starting out here at the point guard position, Steph Curry, greatest shooter in NBA history. He's the greatest point guard in NBA history, in my opinion. I'm 24 years old. I never watched Magic Johnson play, and I'm certainly not going to live up to the folklore of all that. I watched this man with my own eyeballs. I watched him torment my own team in the 2022 finals. I have Steph number one, debate a fucking wall. So, at this point in his career, 36 years old, we just saw that absolutely incredible performance he put on at the Olympics, and he is really kind of just in control of his destiny at this point. Ended up adding a one-year contract extension, and I'm not really sure why at this point. So, I hope they go out there and get him some help. I understand the irony of, saying get Steph Curry some help considering all the talented and Hall of Fame-esque teammates he's had throughout his career. But, man, nobody wants to watch Steph Curry play with this team. Nobody does. I'm sorry. Nobody is going to enjoy it, and his talents in the back nine of his career are just going to waste. And I don't want to see that. I really don't. And I hate the Warriors. You got Buddy Hield here, who's one of their offseason additions, although a really nice, role player, three-point shooter, all that fun stuff. I don't think he's going to be Klay Thompson. I don't think anybody's going to be Klay Thompson, and I understand many people consider Klay Thompson completely washed. So, I don't think Buddy Hield is, going to be quite that good. I think he is kind of a poor man's version of Klay Thompson. He'll give you the shooting, but he won't give you a lot of anything else. So, you got Brandon Podziemski here, certainly one of the solid young pieces of this team, 21 years old at that 79 overall. My goal today is just to develop him as much as possible, whether he's starting year one, going to be coming off the bench. I'm not really sure, but I am excited to see what the future holds for him. They also brought in DeAnthony Melton this offseason. He is 26 years old at that 77 overall. Now, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with him. Of course, if you guys kind of watch my rebuilds on the regular, I only really run two guys at each single position. So, DeAnthony Melton at things stand right now is kind of the third shooting guard. I will see what happens to his overall if I move him to the point guard spot, but that is obviously, still up in the air. You got Lindy Waters the third here as well. He is the fourth guy in line at the shooting guard spot. I believe, was he dealt from the Oklahoma City Thunder? I think he might have been, but nonetheless, at a 74 overall and being that fourth guy in line, probably not going to get a lot of playing time here in year one. We head over to the small forward position. Andrew Wiggins certainly had an up and down career for the guy that was considered a generational prospect heading into the 2014 NBA draft. Was taken number one overall and really just never worked out as well as many people would have hoped in Minnesota, and ultimately came over here to Golden State. Was an absolutely crucial piece to that 2022 finals run. So, all things considered, you can't consider his Golden State tenure a failure because he's not on this team. Back a couple years ago, they don't win that championship. So, I'm not sure what we'll do with him here today at a 78 overall, making all that money. It doesn't exactly exactly make me very excited, but we'll figure it out. You got Moses Moody here, another one of the young pieces here, 22 years of age. I'm hoping we can give him a bigger role today than what Steve Kerr actually gives him in real life, because I really do think there is a lot of potential in there that is yet to be unlocked. And then Gary Payton II, 31, kind of, again, the third guy in line, just a nice depth piece at this point. Good veteran presence. The power forward spot, Mr. Draymond Green. He is an interesting character, to say the least. Draymond Green is 34 years old. He is certainly going to regress. We are all very much aware of that factor. And as things stand, according to 2K, he is the second best player on this team. So, I'm not really sure what to do with Draymond here. Of course, he is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer one day. I don't really know if you agree with that or not. It is my opinion. But, I just don't really see Draymond here the entire time throughout this video. So we'll figure it out. Jonathan Kuminga, probably the best young piece, if you will, on this team. I want to get him into this starting five in some way, shape, or form, whether it's at the 4, it's at the 3. I'm going to do it because similar to the other two young pieces, there's a lot of potential there, and I do not want to be naive enough to just pretend that doesn't exist. You got Kyle Anderson. He was kind of their third free agent this offseason that they ended up bringing in. Took him away from the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's just going to be a nice rotation piece for this team ultimately. Good veteran presence, is probably not going to be a starter in any capacity, but, I thought he was actually a pretty nice signing. Then we got Guy Santos here as well. 22, 71 overall. Probably not going to see the floor a ton. The center spot, TJD, Trace Jackson Davis, is 24. Really solid rookie season last year, and ultimately I do think he is a guy that can be a nice rotation piece on this team, maybe even a year one starter for us here today, but probably not going to be a starter by the third and final regular season. Then Kevon Looney, one of the other veterans on this team, of course, has been here for pretty much the entirety of this dynasty. When was he drafted? 2015. He was here for basically the entirety of this. So, Kevon Looney is obviously nice. I'm actually surprised he's only 28 years old. You think of Kevon Looney, just feels like he's been with this team forever, and only 28 still, so he's still kicking. He is our backup center as of now. So yeah, that's the team. And there's not really a lot that gets you excited, right? I would have been way more excited to do this rebuild, and honestly just for an outlook in terms of the actual 2024-25 NBA season for the Warriors, if they were somehow able to land a Lauri Markkanen or a Paul George, or really anybody that could have helped this team actually be a serious contender. Because as things stand right now, at least in my opinion, they are not even close. So we have a couple trades to make. Some people are still not aware of this. Sometimes people are watching my videos and my rebuilds for the first time, so I will just preface this in advance. This is not a realistic rebuild. Now, I do tend to get a little bit cheesy throughout these in terms of the trades and all the deals that I do make, but I do not like to abuse that power. Now, deals like this are certainly not my favorite, but I will take a flyer on them every once in a while if it is going to go ahead and allow me to have a draft asset. Now, Gary Payton II, was not going to play on this team. He was our third small forward in line, and ultimately there was just never really a path for him to be a long-term option for me. We're going to send him to the Memphis Grizzlies for a first-round pick in 2026. It is a swap with the Phoenix Suns and a second-round pick in 2026 as well. And actually, that is going to only be our only trade. I cannot fucking speak. Our one and only trade before we kick off year one, because when you move Anthony Melton to the point guard spot, he stays at that 77 overall, and I'm not really going to force the issue and try to upgrade it too much, considering Steph Curry's ahead of him. So it's going to be those two at the point guard spot. It's going to be Podziemski and Hield. I am going to start Podziemski just based off of what I think is going to be a potential battle heading into year one here. You got Wiggins, you got Moody, you got Draymond, you got Kuminga, and then you got TJD, and you got Looney. So, I said, talking about Kuminga especially, I want to get him into this starting lineup. I just don't know where it's going to be. Now, I could certainly maybe move him to the small forward spot, have Wiggins come off the bench, but then that takes minutes away from Moses Moody. So, god damn it, I have put myself in a spot that I did not want to. Shit. Okay. I'm obviously going to re-sign Kuminga this offseason. So if I do have him come off the bench in year one, maybe that actually helps me, because if he doesn't play as many minutes, he's not going to have as good of stats, which means maybe he doesn't ask for as much money. I'm just trying to kind of talk myself into this for one season, because I really did want to start him in year one, but he's obviously not going to start over Draymond at the 4, and I really don't think I want to have a position, kind of just a philosophy of not playing Moses Moody when I actually said I really want to. So, you know what? It's going to suck. It's only going to be for 1 year, but we're doing it. As we get ready to kick off our first season here in Golden State, I want to note something that is pretty much the most important thing we're going to talk about so far throughout this rebuild. We have our first round pick in next year's draft, the 2025 draft, the upcoming draft, if you will, which is obviously important. This was a team that missed the playoffs last year in their entirety, and it just doesn't really feel right to go into this not knowing what the future holds. So if we end up sucking somehow, which is certainly within the realm of possibility, we will have our first round selection this year, and it's entirely entirely likely that it could end up being in the top 10. It's going to be Steph Curry, Brandon Podziemski, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and TJD. Now, I am still pissed that Kuminga is not starting. It is, something that I really wanted to do, but unfortunately, we're going to have to delay that one more year. And again, hopefully, he ends up maybe not asking for as much money. Now, I am playing him 26 minutes a game. It's not like he's at the end of the bench, scrapping for like garbage time minutes. He's playing an important role on this team and basically like 4 minutes less than what he actually would have gotten in the starting lineup. Buddy Hield's going to end up being behind him. The game actually recommends I start Hield over Podziemski, but in what I'm going to basically consider a throwaway first season, I'm going to go with the young guy to try to unlock some of that potential. You got the Anthony Melton here backing up Steph Curry, Moses Moody, 14 minutes a night as well at the backup 3, and then Kevon Looney, the veteran center here, is going to be playing 10 minutes a night. I do kind of feel bad. It's just kind of what we're working with. Now, in terms of what the actual Golden State Warriors starting 5 is looking like, there have been many projections to say maybe Draymond will start at the 5. Maybe they'll go ahead and start Kuminga at the 4 and have Wiggins stay there at the 3 as well. I'm not going to do that because it's 2024, and although we are not in the prime era of centers, like there's no Shaq, there's no Hakeem, David Robinson's not walking through that door, there are still absolute unicorns at that center spot, i.e. Victor Wembanyama. There are just Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and 2 of the 3 of those guys are in the West. So we're not going to be completely stupid. We're going to play an actual big man, if you will, at the center spot, and we will deal with the consequences and all the repercussions of this in the offseason. I will see you guys at what is certainly going to be a very interesting first season. As we suspected, year 1 was not great. We go 37-45, and yeah, I mean, it's the step that we, kind of had to take. It's the step that we really had no choice but to take. Luka Doncic is your MVP. He has 0.1 assists off of averaging a triple-double through 82 games. Zachary Rizichet, I have not seen anybody but this man win Rookie of the Year so far through all my rebuilds in 2K25. Men Thompson, your 6th man of the year. Victor Wembanyama, also Mr. Thompson winning Most Improved. Cade Cunningham, and then Chris Finch. These are basically always the same in year 1. All right, we are not going to be in the playoffs. It is unfortunate, but it is good, I would say, in the long run. We are going to be the 12 seed here in the West. Wow, the Rockets were that bad. I guess Utah and Portland make some sense, but I see Houston as a playoff team next season, and I haven't even released my full playoff, predictions, if you will, and all my awards and all that stuff. I do that when we get closer to the season. Here's a look at the East. Not a lot of surprises jumping out to me here. Well, actually, I was going to say, where are the Cavs? They end up as the 12 seed. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stats on the season for us. Steph Curry, as I mentioned, Lamborghini and basically a house about to be condemned by the city. That's about the best example I could use. He was fantastic for us at age 37, averaged about 29, 3, and 5. 50% from the field, and the best three-point shooter of all time was 43% from beyond the arc. All right, Andrew Wiggins was the second leading scorer, about 15 a game. It was Jonathan Kuminga off the bench in a 6-man role right behind him. Trace Jackson-Davis, pretty solid from what we kind of expected, 11 and about 8.5, 9 boards a game. I can certainly live with that. Podziemski, Hield, Green, Moody, Melton, and then Looney. I actually want to check something after this. I don't typically look at team stats, but I'm just curious. Just kind of checking, it doesn't exactly seem like we scored a lot of points per game. I just want to see, where were we? We were 3rd to last in the league. And now defensively, we were actually pretty good. We were about 10th, 11th in the league. So I can live with that. Our defense was probably the only identity we had throughout the season, except for, sucking ass. Let's sim the playoffs real quick. It is going to be a Timberwolves and a 76ers finals, and the Timberwolves end up winning the series in 7. And yeah, it's just continuing the trend of the most outrageous numbers for the finals MVPs. It is Ant and SGA. Always average like damn near 40 points a game through 7-game series whenever they win finals MVP. This game loves Anthony Edwards, if you couldn't tell, by the way, throughout these rebuilds. All right, player retirements. Let's get into it. I am hoping throughout this video that Steph Curry does not call it a career, because if he does, I am what they refer to in my business as royally fucked. Let's go ahead and take a look at jersey retirements. Oh, wow, I'm surprised. Here with the Warriors, we didn't retire Chris Paul's jersey. He had a tremendous one-year tenure here with us. Let's take a look at the draft lottery. Of course, we are going to be in this lottery, so hopefully we end up getting a little bit of luck. Now, we're projected to be number 11. Let's sim through it, and we stick right there at number 11. Okay, Steve Kerr, let's talk about him. He's still hitting this same pose that he's been hitting since I started doing these rebuilds about 8 fucking years ago at this point. Now, Steve Kerr has some really solid ratings here. There is no denying that. Many people, especially, it became a little bit more evident throughout the Olympics that he is maybe not necessarily, the greatest coach in the world. He's certainly certainly a solid head coach. I certainly have him in the top 10, if you will, of NBA head coaches, but maybe all those wins and those championships were a little bit more a result of the players than it was necessarily him. Now, I'm not going to discredit him because that would be wrong, but he's maybe not that top of the top up there with like the Popoviches and the Spoelstras of the world, or maybe at one time people thought he was. Let's head up to the draft. We are going to go ahead and take a look at all of our different options and what we can do here. With the 11th overall pick, that is going to be our only selection in this year's draft, and there are a few different things we could do, but I think it probably makes the most sense. Well, maybe I go ahead and trade up. You know, I haven't really drafted anybody so far throughout these rebuilds because none of my teams have really sucked, of course, up until this point. So, Cooper Flagg's going to go number 1 overall in all likelihood. I guess that would be better. Ace Bailey is certainly somebody I could be interested in, but I'd probably have to move up to like number 3 at lowest, and that's still not guaranteeing me him. I'm just curious, who does have, draft lottery? It's the Jazz. Danny Ainge has been known to make a trade or two. I'm just curious, hypothetically, what would it cost? If it's out of this world ridiculous, we're just going to tell him to kick it. But, what if I threw in, I don't know, say Buddy Hield, I put him in here. You want Kyle Anderson? You can have Kyle Anderson. Again, I'm just trying to clear up a little bit of cap space. Nobody else under contract. I don't want to really give up TJD, and I do want to hang on to Wiggins. And number 11. And then can I just get it done with seconds? Is that possible? Because this would be our shooting guard of the future, and this would at least give Steph Curry somebody who's remotely competent next to him in the backcourt, and that's not a shot at Pajemski. All right, it would have to include probably at least one more first. It sucks, but I would be willing to give up in 29. Wow, they won't even do that. All right, you know what? We're sticking at 11. We'll stick with our guys. I don't necessarily love it, but hopefully we can get somebody who can at least be a rotation piece. And Ace Bailey went second, so I guess I guessed correctly in terms of where I had to aim for what draft pick. All right, let's take a look at our options here. There are a few. Kadeem Malik jumping out at me. Obviously he is a center, 7'3", would certainly give us a little bit more size and maybe replaced, overall wise, the center spot that we're maybe hurting at a little bit. Hugo Gonzalez is here. Igor Demine, Michael Ruzic. Is that a real person? That name kind of sounds familiar. Jalil Bethea is here. He's probably, one of the better shooting guard options that is still available. Ian Jackson's also sitting here. According to our scouting department, he's a little bit lower in terms of the overall, but the rankings for SN and 2K are pretty good. I'm taking Kadeem Malik. I'm not sure if it's going to be the right pick, but 7'3" out of Duke, getting a little bit more size, always a good idea. So he's actually going to be a 77 overall. So that is a really good start. I'll bring back Guy Santos as well. And now we are going to look to upgrade this team. Because although we were not great here in year 1, I do not want to have multiple seasons of tanking in a 3-year rebuild with Steph Curry, who could go tell me that he's going to retire at pretty much any moment. So we're not doing that. I am going to re-sign my guys. Do we have any cap space, by the way? Hypothetically. No, we are basically cooked in terms of the cap space. All right, I am also probably going to be moving on from Andrew Wiggins this offseason and potentially Draymond Green as well. Again, we're trying to get younger. We're trying to get better. Both of these guys eat up a whole lot of money. And, I'm not really for it anymore, to be honest with you. What's the saying? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone? We're going to be moving on from not only Draymond Green, but Andrew Wiggins, and we're going to land ourselves Mr. Lauri Markkanen. Of course, we opened the video by talking about him. There was a chance the Warriors actually traded for him this offseason. That obviously never happened, and then we're going to put, virtual reality into reality here in virtual reality. I'm saying a lot of words right now, but it made sense in my head. Lauri Markkanen is going to be coming over here, obviously going to be under contract for the remainder of the video, and on top of this, we're also getting a draft pick in this deal. How? Why? I'm not sure, but I am certainly going to take advantage of this because apparently Danny Ainge loves Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins. So, yep, at the end of the day, Draymond Green's certainly going to be a legend in Golden State for, the rest of his life. But if Klay Thompson's going to go, there's no reason to really hang on to the past, especially when we're, actually trying to do something here heading into 2025. So, excited to have Markkanen on this team, whether I play him at the 4 or at the 3, still up in the air. And also we're going to obviously bring back Kuminga and now get him into the starting lineup as we promised. So, let's start out with him. He's going to ask for about 21 million. Hypothetically, maybe that number is more if he plays 32 minutes a game last season. He did have a really good year for us, though. Also would like to retain Mr. Moses Moody, and then I'll actually bring back D'Anthony Melton. I think he's a solid option for us. And then, unfortunately, we're actually going to let Kevon Looney walk. Now, I understand he's only 29. Still at 77 overall, but we just drafted Kadeem Malik at number 11. He's also a 77 overall, and then we have TJD to back him up. There's just really no reason to have Looney here anymore. Had a fantastic run with his team, was a pivotal part to a lot of those big championships. Every championship's big. You get my point. We're moving on. Lindy Waters can go. Justice Winslow was also somehow here. Gary Payton, we have a trade exception, which is actually pretty good to know. All right, excited to have everybody here back on this team. Hypothetically, it probably makes a little bit more sense to play 7-foot Lauri Markkanen at the 4 versus 6'7" Kuminga. I am just curious, what happens to the overall? actually goes up a little bit, and Kuminga actually goes up a lot of bit at the small forward spot. So that's what we're going to do there. I'll see you guys with our next move. I'm wondering what it would take to maybe acquire Herb Jones. At this stage in his career, I don't think it's, unfair to say that Steph Curry is probably not the best defensive guard in the league. Now, I do think Steph Curry's defense throughout his entire career gets a little bit underrated. A lot of people just considered him a nothing defender. He's not. He was actually pretty good defensively. But at this point, 37, 38 years old, maybe we could pick up a really stout defensive shooting guard, i.e. Herb Jones. I'm a huge Herb Jones fan. Many of you are aware of that. I'd like to add him to my team in today's rebuild. Now, I'm offering up Buddy Hield and Guy Santos. I don't really need either of them heading into year two. And can we just get a deal done, honestly? Kyle Anderson can't afford him. Now they can afford it. And how about... Probably can't afford anybody else. So it's going to have to be draft picks. I will do a first. How about in 2029? Because it's probably not going to be that valuable. And then is there any possible way we can get this done with just seconds? Come on, New Orleans. Come on. Wow, I cannot believe that worked. That was a second, right? By the way, that wasn't another first. Okay, it was. All right, well, super excited to have Herb Jones here. Obviously, he's going to be a very, very big addition to this team. And Podziemski will just move back to the bench unit, which is completely fine by me. And as much as I like Guy Santos, I guess, I don't really know. He's not going to be playing for us. So we'll actually maybe trade him after we sign a potential replacement here. A guy like Najee Marshall would be a fantastic fit with this team. Ooh, Trent Watford also here. Tamani Kamara. I'll go Najee Marshall. Why the hell not? Let's throw pretty much all the money we possibly can at Mr. Marshall, and hopefully he's willing to accept that. He is. Welcome to the team. All right, I also just lost the first-round pick, so if maybe anybody wants to be stupid and give me one for Santos. Ever since Michael Jordan left, maybe the stupidest fucking franchise on planet Earth. I'll see you guys at the start of year two. It feels like this team has almost done a complete 180. Now, would I consider us up there with the best of the best in the West? Not necessarily, but we are certainly on the path to potentially continue this dynasty. Now, would you consider it already dead at this point? Maybe, but we are going to come back from the grave, from the dead, and we are going to be a playoff team this year. I'm almost guaranteeing it. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. It is Steph Curry, Herb Jones, Jonathan Kuminga, Larry Markkinen, and Kadeen Malik. Now, the game actually recommends I not only start TJD at the center spot, it also recommends I start Podziemski over Herb Jones. I'm doing neither of those things. I'm going off of what I think is potential here at the center spot, and then I love Herb Jones. You guys know it, so he's going to start. Podziemski will be my sixth man, though. 22 minutes a night. You got Moses Moody behind him. Good to see both those guys in elevated roles. Well, I guess it's actually a lesser role for Podziemski, because he started last year, but that's neither here nor there. TJD is going to be my backup center. You got the Anthony Melton still rocking the backup point guard spot, and then Najee Marshall, newly acquired, is going to be my backup power forward. So, again, are we up there with Minnesota? Probably not. Or Denver, or Oklahoma City, or Dallas? Probably not quite, but we are certainly a lot better than we were last season, and Steph Curry's also not regressing like crazy, so everybody's a winner. I will see you guys at the end of the second season here in Golden State. I would say shocked, but it almost feels like it wouldn't be, enough, if you will. 63-19. That's our record here. We almost didn't think this was even a possibility by the end of year 3. Never mind the end of year 2. I know we got better. I know we made improvements. We got younger. All those fun things. But 63 wins for this is outrageous. We're 10 wins off of the best record in NBA history. And we were just coming off a season where we won, 37 games? I don't know. Luka wins another MVP. Cooper Flag's Rookie of the Year in Portland. Dylan Harper, sixth man. Wemby wins another depoy. Rob Dillingham, most improved. Jason Tatum, clutch player of the year. And yeah, our guy. I just like to also point out, not only is it insane that Steve Kerr is still, in this same pose, and it's the same picture literally since 2K16. He's 8 years older at this point. Not like, he is 8 years older at this point. And he also looks 8 years older at this point. And I get it. Everybody wants to look good. Even myself, even though I don't. But you get my point, right? Update the fucking guy's picture. Come on. You do it for the players every year. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the standings. 63 wins gives us the 1 seed. That's not really a big surprise. And New York takes the East. Yeah, 4 games up on Dallas. I mean, I'm shocked. I genuinely am. Steph was absolutely fantastic in his age 38 season. Larry Markkinen, Jonathan Kuminga. Kadeen Malik was awesome in his rookie campaign. Somewhat similar numbers to what TJD did for us last year, but I'm still taking Malik. Podziemski, Moody, Herb Jones, TJD, Melton, and then Najee Marshall. Rebounds per game was Malik, and then assists was Steph. So we avoid the play-in completely. Why is Denver a play-in team? Oh, Jamal Murray left. This question. I did a Nuggets rebuild, earlier this week? Something like that? I have no idea. Jamal Murray signed his contract extension last weekend. I understand that maybe 2K is not going to update contracts and shit immediately, but it's been almost a week. How hard is it? It's not hard, right? I mean, you barely update the fucking game you don't give a shit about my NBA. Just update the contracts. It's not that hard. We're in the season, right? We haven't even started the NBA season. You can't not already give a shit about one of the best modes in the game, and trust me, it's not just me saying that. Let's get into it here. Obviously, them not having Jamal Murray helps me, but it's stupid that it's just... I don't know, man. I hate this fucking franchise. All right, it is the San Antonio Spurs, and speak of the devil. I mean, we asked for it, I guess, and Jamal Murray, now a member of the Spurs. He teams up with Victor Wembanyama, another generational center, so that's not what I meant to do. Let's just sim this game by game. Drop game 1 at home, do win game 2. We go down 2-1, tied it up, go down 3-2, tied it up, win in 7. Wow. All right, we move on to the West Finals. It is us and the Dallas Mavericks. Luka's won 2 straight MVPs. Kyrie is, of course, one of the most skilled players in NBA history. They added Isaac Okoro. We got Washington, Derek Lively. Our old friend Klay Thompson now coming off the bench for this team in a 6th-man capacity. We quickly go up 2-0 in this series, make it 3-0. And oh my God, are we going to go to the final? We're in the finals. I'm not giving the whole speech. I understand. If it's a 7-game nail biter that goes to overtime, fine. Give a conference or an NBA Finals MVP to the guy in the losing game. It's stupid. It never happens, but I understand. If you lose in 5, I don't give a shit if you average 80. You're not winning. And then Tyrese Haliburton, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So a battle here with the Indiana Pacers, who found themselves Kawhi Leonard. Sure, why not at this point, right? Looks like they traded Pascal Siakam for him. I'm not really sure why the Clippers were willing to do that, but they were. We quickly go up 2-0. Are we this good? I know we're a good team, right? I understood that. I said maybe we were just not in that upper echelon. Of course, that ended up not being true, but are we this good to sweep? What? I'll see you in there. On the verge of officially keeping the dynasty alive, we are about to sweep the Indiana Pacers out of their own building, and I want to use Steph Curry because I do not get to shoot with him very often, and I'd like to hit a couple shots right now. So, who is this? Tyus Jones? Curry, 3 on its... Well, come on. That would have been fun. Did not end up happening. I will hit a 3 with Steph Curry. Of course, this isn't completely out of reach. It's a 15-point game, and as I'm sure many of you are aware, I'm not necessarily known for my good or tremendous gameplay. So give Kuminga the ball. Let's just go over here, and let's just get out of Steph Curry's way. Tyus Jones, thanks for coming, pal. Really? We're just going to do that? I want to shoot a 3 with Steph. I don't know why you're trying to full-court press the best point guard in NBA history with Tyus Jones. Respectfully, probably not the best idea in the world, but that's, neither here nor there. Herb Jones, my fucking guy. Over here to Ben Mathurin. You got him and Kuminga going one-on-one. What's the size difference between these two guys? I'm not saying their games remind me of each other, but, I feel like they're similar, in terms of, their size and their frame. Stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. Whoa. That was the quickest release. Is his release really that fast? I will hit a 3 with him. I'm not doing this. Also, I always forget that Kawhi was drafted by the Pacers. Let's go ahead and work here. Whoa. Markkanen just gets absolutely killed while Mathurin drives down the lane, and they are still going to go full court press here. Okay. Step back. Curry. Oh, baby, a little green light. How are ya? Oh, my God, I will take it. All right, I am just about to probably close this one out. This was not as exhilarating as yesterday's gameplay was, of course, but we are going to cap this one off with a championship here in year 2 when it was expected to be anything but that. So I 1,000% will take it. We're going to do one more offensive session here. I don't know why I'm trying to play lockdown D. It's, it is the NBA Finals, but we were obviously on the verge of winning. So somebody give me a screen here. Thank you very much. Curry. Oh, my God. Good night. And just like that, it is a year 2 championship here in Golden State. Steph Curry wins his 2nd career Finals MVP. And look at those shooting splits. That's absolutely insane. All right. Well, that was, not expected would be an understatement, but I will take it 1,000%. Is that Markelle Fultz retiring? Damn, that's sad. Where is he? He's still not on a team in real life, is he? Damn. Feels like former number 1 overall picks almost always get another opportunity, but then again, maybe the Orlando Magic was another opportunity, but it wasn't that bad, right? I'm not saying he was a good player or anything, but I don't know. Russ and LeBron both entering the Hall of Fame, both get their jerseys retired, and it is the final draft lottery here. We are not going to have a draft pick in it, but we will sim it nonetheless. Sixers went from in the finals to year 1 to number 1 overall in year 2. Good jump. Okay, we'll hang on to Steve Kerr, obviously. After a championship, hard to move on. And we will now approach the NBA draft, and we have 15 and number 30 as well. So I'll actually use 15. I probably won't really get much for 30. Nobody wants to give me really anything for pick 30. Fuck it, I'll actually draft 2 people. I don't know, they probably won't play, but why the hell not at this point? Jaden Quintaince. I've drafted him before, and he is the highest rated prospect, so why not? Not like I necessarily need a center, but who really cares at this point? All right, and then Josiah Mosley. Power forward, C- overall. Sure, why not? All right, let's see what we can do now heading into 76. Not bad. Heading into the final season, we're not going to make many major changes, at least not, in my head. Do we have any big free agents? Doesn't look like we have any free agents, actually. Yeah, no, not really. I guess I'll try to find maybe one change, but, at this point, why would I, do anything crazy, As we enter the final regular season, I'm looking to maybe make a little bit of an upgrade at our backup point guard spot. Is it necessary? No, but, why wouldn't I at this point? So I'm offering up D'Anthony Melton, Najee Marshall, and Josiah Mosley. You will understand why I'm offering those players in just a second. I know they are not going to... Wow, that pick is really valuable. Wow, I would have definitely not traded that if it was any other year. It's going to be Curry and Anthony Black here, Herb Jones, Brandon Podziemski, Muga, Kuminga, and Moody, Larry Markkinen, and then I moved TJD to the 4. That's really just a size thing. I understand he's not necessarily like the stretch 4 that Larry Markkinen is, but it's 2K. Who really cares? And then Kadeem Malik and Jaden Quintaince. I'm probably butchering that, as our 2 centers. So 2 19-year-olds going to be locking it down here at the 5. So, yeah, I mean, that's it, right? I mean, there's no real other reason to swing a blockbuster or anything like that. So hopefully we're good enough once again. I think we will be. I'll see you guys at the start of the final regular season. Fresh off a surprising championship, to say the least. We are ready to go for the final regular season. We are obviously pretty much just as good, if not better, than we were last year. So on paper, at least, we should have no trouble being back very much in the mix. It is Steph Curry, Herb Jones, Jonathan Kuminga, Larry Markkinen, and Kadeem Malik. Bench unit will be led by Brandon Podziemski. We obviously just traded for Anthony Black, Moses Moody, Trace Jackson Davis, and Jaden Quintaince. I mean, we are just very good. We are very deep, and I like the way this team fits together. So excited. I'll see you guys at the end of year number 3. Tyrese Halliburton taking home the MVP award here to cap off the regular season. 63-19 is the record, and we are once again in the driver's seat. AJ Demancis is your rookie of the year. He is a Philadelphia 76er. Jordan Poole now in Miami. Wow, that's funny. I just did a Heat rebuild yesterday, and I actually traded for Jordan Poole. Willingly. I didn't have a gun to my head or anything. Wemby wins another DPOY trade. Johnson most improved. Jalen Brunson clutch player of the year. And wow, we did not have the best record in the league. It was Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers. All right, let's do it. Maybe we'll have a rematch of last year's finals. We take the 1 seed here in the East. It was in the West, and it was the second best record in all of basketball. Let's go over some numbers real quick. Steph Curry, he is 39 years old and putting up 26 points a game. Insanity. Larry Markkinen, Jonathan Kuminga, Kadeem Malik, absolute monster. Very happy I drafted this guy at number 11 overall in year 1. Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Anthony Black, Herb Jones, Trace Jackson Davis, and Jaden Quintaince. Rebounds were led by Malik, and assists was Mr. Curry. Okay. Us and the Pelicans here. It is Kevin, okay, I hate you, DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. I'll give this a go. It's not going to sound good, but I'll give it a go. Zvonimir Ivisic. Maybe? I don't know. All right, let's do it. Here goes round 1 of the playoffs. Quick 2-0 lead for us. Then get 2-1. We go 2-2. Up 3-2. We close them out in 6. Little bit stressful here in the first round. I am surprised. Let me just say this. We are matching up with the Thunder right now, obviously. Compared to how, I guess, dominant and overpowered the Thunder were in 2K24, I feel like I've rarely seen them, not only just not in the finals, but like even in the playoffs so far through 2K25. So, that's a little strange. Of course, I haven't done a Thunder rebuild yet, so I don't truly know how much like the game engine hates them, but we'll find that out together very, very shortly. All right, let's get into it. Quickly go up 1-0, make it 2-0. They do win Game 3 on their home floor. We take Game 4, and we close them out in 5. Now, here in the Western Conference Finals, a team that I am very familiar with because I see them all the time, it is the San Antonio Spurs, and they have Trae Young off the bench as a 6-man. Okay. Gotta love this game. It's so fun. Quick 2-0 lead for us. Here we go up 3-0, and that's the one team we sweep. It's like it's getting easier. 4-2, 4-1, 4-0. Is it possible to go 3-0 here in the finals? I don't know. Steph Curry, Tyrese Halliburton, you guessed it. We were running back the finals from last year. Kawhi Leonard still here. Andrew Nembhard, Ben Mathurin. I am excited to do this Pacers rebuild. I love the way the Pacers just play basketball. It's so much fun to watch. They win Game 1 on their home floor and Game 2. We do win on ours, both games. Go up 3-2. We close them out, winning 4 straight games. And Kadeem Malik, He is your finals MVP. I'm just curious. Now, good numbers all across the board. What did Steph do in the finals? I just want to see. Well, he wasn't, for his, standards, I guess he wasn't necessarily great. Like, right, he should have probably led us in points, but who cares? Who gives a shit? We won another championship, and if you had told me that the Warriors rebuild would have ended in 2, I would have said you're crazy, right? When I kind of map out in my head, if you will, how I think the rebuild's going to go and kind of the way that I want it to go and when I want to strike and make big deals and who I want to trade for. I had some names in mind. Larry Markin was one of them, obviously. I didn't think it would be that easy to get him, but I certainly didn't think it would go like this. I did not think we had any chance of winning anything in year 2. I thought by year 3 we'd be fighting for a 1 seed and maybe obviously fighting for a championship, but there's some rebuilds that I'm like, hey, that's guaranteed. I'm going to win at least 1, probably 2 or 3. This was not one of them, and of course, we ended up winning 2. So always the ones you least expect, right? Isn't that the case? Let me know any other rebuild ideas down below in the comment section. That is it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.